The interesting thing is, obviously, there's the questions are being asked about him, whether it's his age, whether it's his one season too many, all the other stuff. But the strange thing in watching Salah is usually when a player is sort of getting to usually a player getting towards the end of his career, what you notice is the physical decline. And I'm not seeing a physical decline in him in respect of sort of like some of his sprints look quite sharp. He looks busy in the box. But just like crazy things like the ball comes to the back post, his technique on his kicking and his sort of crossing, that's the thing that looks well off. So there's a couple of moments there at the back post where you think to yourself, that's not Mo Salah. He had that chance where he sort of dragged it really uglily, like, you know, to the left of the post. You think that's just his technique. That Mo Salah could probably play when he's 52 and still have a good technique. So that's the bit that's surprising me, is the technical bit.
I think Mo Salah has declined physically in terms of
no, I know,
when he
but
first came.
It's the technical decline that we're seeing.
Yeah, but what I would say is,
problems.
No, I agree. But even when Mo Salah's been at his absolute best, he can have games where he looks technically poor. He can just. He's one of those players who at times you think for such a great player, sometimes his performances, and this is not this season, this is over his time for Liverpool. We all know as Liverpool fans, and you put up with it because you think he'll score 2 in a couple of weeks. You know, he goes through these little runs. Now, when he first came in, he had blistering pace, him and Mane. That's not there so much. But he still had a sharpness about him. I'm not quite sure that sharpness is still there.
I still think he looks quite sharp.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I think he looks sharp in those little areas where you'd want him to look sharp in the sort of like last 18, 20 yards of the pitch. But as the ball comes to the back post on 2 or 3 occasions, or for instance, the Verts assist for him that would have been an assist at Chelsea, and you think he's got to finish that. Today there's 2 chances at the back post, you think he's got to finish that. It's the technical aspect of his game that's letting him down at the moment for me, more than the physical aspect.
Yeah, no. There's no doubt he can at times look not like a world class, but he can look like an average player technically. I've said that before. That was at his heyday. He has lost something physically, but I do worry, and I do think this is a real conundrum for the manager going forward. What you do. It was interesting you mentioned in commentary that he brought him off. Now, that's not the first. If you remember, Jurgen Klopp used to bring him off a lot. If he wasn't playing particularly well, Jurgen Klopp was not shy. So that shows you that. In years gone by, Mo Salah could be having a poor game and he'd still get brought off, even if he had an extra little bit of energy or sharpness. But I do think right now it's really interesting what the manager does, because I think we're at the stage with Mo Salah right now where he shouldn't be playing every game. It shouldn't be a case of like he's one of the first names on the team sheet. It should be a case of, yes, he's in your best team. He plays in home games. Maybe you'd have to think about it. Liverpool have got 2 away games, 1 in Europe, 1 in Brentford. I don't think he plays in both of them. So I think these things have got to start coming maybe into the manager's head, and maybe you have a little look at Frimpong in an away game who can maybe help you full back a little bit more defensively, but maybe gives you a little bit of pace on the outside, as we saw when he comes on. So I think we're at that stage now where Mo Salah shouldn't be a guaranteed starter every week.
Well, difficult times for Liverpool then. They've now lost 4 consecutive matches across all competitions for the first time since November 2014, with Slot's side losing 3 Premier League games in a row for the first time since February 2021. And since the beginning of May, Liverpool have conceded 2 or more goals in more Premier League games than any other side, doing so in 8 of their 12 league matches. And Mohamed Salah has gone 7 consecutive Premier League appearances without scoring a non-penalty goal for the very first time in his Liverpool career.
For Liverpool, on the other hand, how is Arne Slot going to reflect on this? Because last season they were just unstoppable in the Premier League, as we saw as they became champions. But to lose 4 on the bounce now, what's the problem there?
There's still a lot of questions at Liverpool. I mean, when you look at the goal that they conceded, it wasn't great. Their captain, who's always been so reliable, Van Dijk, will have to take a bit of responsibility for that. It was a bit of an error defensively in how they conceded that goal against Manchester United. And even in the second half, they gained a bit more momentum. Changes were made. We saw the likes of Florian Wirtz, Ekitike come on to try and have an impact. I think there'll be a lot of questions that Arne Slot has to answer, because he started off today with Alexander Isak. He wasn't really supplied. He didn't get the supply needed from midfield in that first half to really create or have an impact in the game. Second half, a little bit more. And again, I would say that Manchester United overall controlled the game in midfield. And even though Liverpool did kick on and became stronger in the second half to really knock on Manchester United's door, they got that goal eventually through Gakpo. You think 1-1, not a bad result, but the momentum was in favour of Liverpool to maybe go and get the win. But then credit to Manchester United to stay strong and get the winner away from home.
What do you think his messaging to the team is going to be, though, after this loss? Because on the positives, he can say they created all of these chances, that they came back well, but in the end, they didn't get the result. How do you motivate this group now?
Well, when you look at Liverpool, Poppy, I think there's quite a multitude of problems there. And it's not just one or two players who are not performing, then you can take them out. There's a lot more questions and answers right now for Arne Slot. Again, maybe some people would have said, in a big game like this, you'd go with Ekitike. For me, he's been their best impactful player in the summer window that they signed. He's really stepped up to the plate. You should have started him maybe over Alexander Isak. I think also when you look at the midfield right now, like Gravenberch and also McAllister, just doesn't seem to be the right balance. Again, it's not happening. Defensively, they look very vulnerable. They don't look comfortable defending. I think there's a lot of questions that have to be asked defensively, whether they can see out games. Yes, they got momentum in the second half, but there's too many players who are not performing to the level that we're used to seeing. Again, Mo Salah wasn't a fantastic performance by him, and he was the talisman of this Liverpool side last season, carried them, some people would say, but we haven't seen that same impactful Mo Salah. Had half chances in the game where you'd expect him to at least minimum hit the target, but didn't even hit the target. Hakpo hit the post twice, finally did get his goal. Florian Wirtz, again, when you saw the pressure that Liverpool were putting on this Manchester United side, you would think that the change would have been made to bring Florian Wirtz in the game earlier. I think he's struggling to adapt to the physicality of the Premier League, where he's getting pushed off the ball far too easily, not physically strong enough, and not getting the balls in the right areas to have influence. There's too many individual moments as well of selfishness from players at times when that extra pass is on. So there are a lot of problems that Arne Slot needs to deal with. And I think he still needs to work out what his strongest starting lineup is for this Liverpool team.
I mean, there's still such a long way to go, isn't it, until May, until we see a champion of the Premier League. Are Liverpool still in the title race for United? Do you still have them as one of the favourites to win it all again?
They're definitely still in the title race. I would have to say that the Premier League is wide open. But if you're looking at a front runner right now, Arsenal, for me, are the team that are the front runner. With the result they got yesterday for Fulham away from home at Craven Cottage to get that win, which is normally a game that we would see Arsenal drop points or maybe even lose that game, but they're really starting to show that strength and resilience and that determination. I think belief is only growing for Arsenal. They are the true front runners in my opinion, but it's still wide open where there's a lot of clubs who are still in contention for the Premier League title.
For Manchester United, on the other hand, just to go back to them, we saw what it meant to the fans. We saw them obviously celebrating. They're probably not allowed to leave Anfield anyway for security reasons. But what will this mean to them, Nigel, to get this result against Liverpool, as you mentioned, one of the biggest rivalries in world football?
It means a lot. It's the biggest rival. You know, it's the biggest rival in English football. Two of the most successful teams. Nothing's better than beating your biggest rival and your arch nemesis. And you went in there, get pegged back, and to go back with all 3 points away from home, you've got to say the players have to take a lot of confidence. It wasn't an expansive Manchester United side. It wasn't a super high press and leaving themselves wide open and vulnerable. It was a mature performance. And for me, Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro controlled that game in midfield for most of the game. They really controlled it. They put their stamp and authority on it. Credit to Casemiro, who did come off in the end after getting booked. But you're talking about a player who had to go and play in Asia for international duty. To come in and put a performance like that at Anfield deserves to be recognised. And Bruno Fernandes, again, I keep saying it, he put in a captain's performance and controlled the game in a very mature manner. So it's a massive, massive performance for Manchester United. There are a lot of positives they can take from it, but can they build? Can they get these results more consistently? Can they stop letting themselves down in games that they should go in expecting to win and not winning and making silly little errors and mistakes? That is a good blueprint for them to move forward now from that performance today.
Arne, can you tell us the story of the match from your point of view?
It's always difficult to play against a team that defends in the low block, that mainly plays the long ball. But it makes it even more difficult if you go 1-0 down after 1 minute after a player of us is on the floor. And then I think if you would have told me before the game that against the low block, against the team that plays so many long balls, we would have created as much chances as we did, I would have not expected us to lose this game of football. But that's what we did. So again, enough chances to score more than one goal. But on the other hand, again, conceding two, where one of the two was a set piece.
Is that kind of a repeat of the last couple of Premier League games? It's a similar thing you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, of course, we concede maybe 1 or 2 extra chances apart from the 2 goals we've conceded, but that's also the risk you take if you're 1-0 down. So we always have to take a lot of risk, and if you then take that into account, that we hardly give away a chance, and then we are waiting for us to score a goal, and we have to defend the set piece. And like against Palace, and like a few other moments this season, we've conceded in a set piece, and that's hard to take because it's very difficult to win a game of football if you have a negative balance in the set pieces.
The triple change certainly had a positive effect. Did you feel at that point we're going to go on and turn this right around?
I think people tend to forget how many chances we've already had when we were 1-0 down in the first half, because if you're 1-0 down, it's quite normal that people focus on the ball that you play wrong, or a moment that you wait where you could have played forward and you don't. But Alexander Isak, first half, 1-on-1 to the goalkeeper, Cody Gakpo hitting the post twice. So even the first half, we've already had chances to go 1-1. But it's true that in the second half, this is mainly with us because the other team gets more and more tired. We create more and more. This happened against Palace, happened against Chelsea, happened today. This also has to do with the changes we've made, but also with the effort we put in the first half.
Any concerns over the run of results, or is it just something that you know will be rectified?
No, of course, concerns if you win. If you lose 4 times in a row, you need to be concerned because you know how it works in football. If we can keep bringing these performances in, we will have a fair chance of winning more football games, and if we can do a few things a little bit better, we would even have a better chance of winning a game of football. But you're never 100% sure if the next game you're able to create 8, 9, 10 open chances. So yeah, but as long as these players are again a setback, again 1-0 down, again playing so many times with 1-0 down and coming back in the way we did, if that mentality is there, there's a lot to take into the upcoming games. But losing 4 times in a row definitely does something with the team.